This is John Cola with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you, and this is the one you guys have been waiting for. I know many of you guys want to juice leafy green vegetables. I'm sitting in my garden here, and there's a whole bunch of perennial purple tree collards behind me. And as you may know, greens are one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. What does nutrient-dense mean? That means they have the most nutrition and the least amount of calories, including phytochemicals, antioxidants, and phytonutrients, and minerals that are really good for us. So in any case, we're going to share with you guys today two different juicers that will juice greens and go over which of the ones will actually do better for you. So in my opinion, the best juicer for leafy greens are the single auger style machines that have a single auger. Those, as a matter of fact, were basically derived from the standard wheatgrass juicer that only juices wheatgrass, such as the Omega 8006 and its little brother, the 8004, which is identical except white in color, are the horizontal single auger that is derived from the standard wheatgrass juicer, the dedicated model, but it will also juice other things. Now, its newer, bigger brother on the market nowadays is the Omega Vert. The Omega Vert 330 HD is what I have here today, and the Omega Vert 350 HD. And those are vertical single augers. So today we're going to find out which juicer juices straight leafy greens the best. We have a pound here of Power Greens Mix, which is organic chard, kale, and spinach, and these are baby leaves. So whenever juicing leafy greens, I encourage you guys to juice the baby greens, so the smaller leaves instead of the bigger ones. They're going to juice better. They're more tender. The juicer is going to be able to, extract the juice better out of them, and they're probably a little more nutritious than older, mature leaves. In any case, I guess, without further ado, let's get into this juice off. So we're going to go ahead and take the lids off both these containers here. And we're going to feed all these leafy greens into each machine. Now, before I do, I'm going to give you the caveat. I know which one, in my mind, is going to win because I've done this before, maybe not on the video, but it's the Omega 8006, and that is because if you're juicing straight greens, which, most of you guys actually won't want to do. This is kind of more advanced topic because if you juice straight greens and drink it, it's really strong. It's kind of like drinking a wheatgrass shot. And you may have a reaction to it, let's just put it that way. So in most cases, you're going to juice leafy greens with other vegetables like carrots, like celery, like cucumbers, and probably even add some apple, maybe some ginger and some lemon in there to make it taste better. So if I was to duplicate this test with some of those other things, then the results are going to be different. And I do have other videos showing juicing green juices with both these machines. And each of these machines, as I'll point out, has their pros and cons. And we'll go over that after we start juicing. So let's get into this juice off. We're going to turn on the Omega 8006 and turn on the Omega Vert. Now, these are both low RPM juicers. They run at 80 RPM, so they turn very slow. And as you could hear, they're relatively quiet, unlike some other high-speed juicers. Now, the high-speed juicers are called centripetal ejection juicers, such as the Breville, and those style machines that you can find at department stores, those don't tend to juice leafy greens well at all. You'll put in a leafy green, it'll kick the whole thing out and maybe get a drip of juice. But these guys are probably one of the most efficient style juicers to juice the leafy greens. So we're just gonna go ahead and feed some of these leafy greens in the machine. And as you'll notice, I'm just stuffing the feed chute full of the leafy greens. And the only thing you want to use to push the leafy greens into the juicer is the pusher. So I'm happen to use the 8006 pusher in the Omega Vert here. That works. But other than the Omega Vert pusher and the Omega 8006 pusher, don't use any other pusher in the machine, or don't put a butter knife, your fingers, or anything down the feed chute. So as you can see here, we're putting these guys in there, and you can see we're getting some juice out this side and some pulp and some juice fibers out that side. So let's go ahead and continue juicing with the Omega Vert so you guys could actually see how long it takes me. So we're just going to feed in one handful at a time here. Now this feed chute is probably about twice the size as the Omega 8006 sitting next door. So you can shove more into the feed chute, and there's a bigger auger which takes a larger chunk out of the produce to juice, so it's a little bit quicker. Now we're not just cramming stuff down as fast as we could cram it in. We're kind of paying attention to this outlet here. And as you can see, some of the produce is slowly coming out of the outlet, the pulp. And we're getting the juice over on this side. Now, one of the problems with every juicer is that it will create some level of foam, and that's completely normal. if you want to reduce the foam when juicing leafy greens, then you need to juice it with something else, like juice a pile of leafy greens and then a carrot, then a piece of apple. And that'll reduce the foam. The foam is caused by actually, there's airspace in the auger, and because the leafy greens don't fill all that airspace up, there's more air added into the juice there. Well, we've juiced so much it looks like we're gonna overflow our catch cup. I only put a 1 cup catch cup because I knew we weren't gonna make 1 cup of green juice, but we are making a lot of foam, so we're gonna have to go ahead and transfer over to a 2 cup collection cup here. And now we're gonna continue juicing. So far so good in the Omega Vert. As you can see, the pulp's coming out, and you know, it is a little bit wet still. But once again, I don't recommend the Omega Vert for juicing straight greens like this. You know, it'd be best if we juiced a handful of greens and then a piece of carrot. Then it would work actually much better. But it's still doing, you know, all right. If you do want to juice wheatgrass or other kind of sprouts, be sure to check my other videos, because I do have comparison videos showing these two guys head to head with wheatgrass and also with sunflower sprouts. 1 pound actually. So this is doing amazingly well, and I want to actually also talk about, now I am using the baby leafy greens, so these ones are much less fibrous than hard leafy greens. You know, if you bought a big bunch of kale with the long stalks. Now if you do get those, it's very important you chop those stalks up into like 1/8-inch pieces for the best results. And I encourage you guys to watch my video on Omega Vert best practices to see how to properly use the Omega Vert, because there is a special technique you have to use to guarantee your optimal success when juicing in the Omega Vert. So we're getting down to the last bit of juicing here in the Omega Vert. We're almost down to the rest of the leafy greens in our container here. We're just gonna go ahead and drop those in and shove those down the feed chute. And now what you're going to notice, if you look in the feed chute, there's going to be some leafy greens still stuck in there when you're done turning the machine off. And this is because the way the Omega Vert works is that it needs some hard fibrous material to actually take in to push through everything in there. Now when you're using something soft like the leafy greens, it really doesn't you know, fully get to push everything through, so there may be some leftover greens in there. This can be alleviated by actually juicing a carrot, a small piece of carrot at the final stage, to get all that leafy green juice out and to leave some of that carrot pulp in there instead of the valuable leafy greens. But once again, we're just doing a test with the leafy greens, so we're gonna go ahead and turn this guy off and you know, let this hang out and see how much yield we got. Next, let's go ahead and juice in the Omega 8006. We're gonna turn that guy on and just grab these leaves here and shove this down the feed chute. Now the feed chute is considerably smaller, so this is gonna take me more time to feed the greens in, so I can't shove as many in there. I literally have to push each mouthful of the greens in the Omega 8006 to get them to juice properly. One of the features I like about the Omega Vert is if you put a handful of greens and then a piece of carrot or an apple, it's almost self-feeding, so you really don't have to use the pusher. On the Omega 8006, you'll always have to use a pusher pretty much no matter what you're juicing, unless you dice it up into like 1/4-inch size cubes, but nobody wants to do that. So let's go ahead and continue. We'll have to take smaller handfuls of greens to shove in this little smaller feed chute here, and then press in to the Omega 8006 Nutrition Center. So this is working much better, much less foam, and you can see some of the pulp coming out the end there. Now I want to talk about, you know, in this mix I see some baby Swiss chard, some spinach leaves, and some kale, including the dinosaur kale or latticino kale. And once again, the leafy green straight drink like this, I don't recommend unless you've been juicing for a while. You may get violent eruptions, and we'll leave that to your imagination. But what I want to talk about now is a question I often get. John, what do you think about, you know, drinking only kale juice, like day in, day out? Well, you know, I think that kale is a great food. Also are collards and the spinach and watercress. But I think you shouldn't just focus on one food because it's the best. I think all the different types of greens have many different nutrients in them and phytochemicals that I believe are very important. Plus, also they have some naturally occurring toxins in them, so that the bugs don't eat the plant, or the creatures where these plants are from don't eat them in mass. So for this reason, I believe you guys should actually rotate the leafy greens you're eating. So if you're juicing kale today, maybe juice some Swiss chard tomorrow, juice some romaine lettuce hearts tomorrow, juice some watercress the next day, juice some bok choy the next day, juice some broccoli leaves the next day. You know, I could go on and on with all the different kinds of leafy greens, but keep doing each kind of leafy green every day and switch it up, so every day you're having a complete different kind. This will make your juice taste good, but also give your body all the different nutrition it needs, because it may need some phytochemicals that are in bok choy that aren't in kale. So this is growing relatively well. I could actually just look down and see the pulp coming out. It's actually significantly drier than the Omega Vert, and as you can see, it's creating much less foam. So I want to talk a second about, John, should I juice organic or non-organic? So I always encourage you guys actually to juice organic grown produce whenever possible, because it doesn't have, the pesticide residue, the herbicide residue, and potentially fungicide residues that conventional products or conventionally grown produce can have. In addition, there have been studies that show, organically grown food is actually more nutritious. But in my opinion, also another reason to support organic agriculture is because conventional agriculture uses lots of man-made chemicals that may be harming the earth and its environment, in my opinion. So, when you're voting with your dollars, when you vote for organic, you're voting for a natural world where, there's not these man-made chemicals putting into the earth and polluting it. So yes, it may cost you guys more money, but I think it's definitely worth it. Another thing I want to encourage you guys to do is actually, instead of even buying produce, take yourself out of the system or the commerce system and grow your own food. Growing your own food is very simple. You can grow food anywhere. I know you might be thinking, John, I live in the middle of New York City in an apartment. Yes, you could even grow some food in there. Look up the Sprout Man, Steve Meyerowitz, who's actually used to live in New York City or a small apartment and grew sprouts in the city, so you could grow flats of wheatgrass or flats of sunflower greens in your apartment that you could even juice right up, and those are some delicious ones to juice. So as you can see, this is working much better. It's taking a little bit more time, but it's still going really well, and man, this pulp is significantly drier. Going to go ahead and continue juicing in the Omega 8006. Now let's compare these machines, besides just the greens we're juicing today, on something like pineapples. On something like pineapples, the Omega 8006 will juice pineapples, and I have videos of juicing pineapples in the 8006, but it doesn't work quite as well as in the Omega Vert. In general, the Omega Vert juices fruits better than the Omega 8006, but the 8006 juices greens more. I wish there was a perfect juicer that juiced everything the best, and then, I just have to stop making videos. I just say, hey, buy that one, it's the best. But until that time, I'll continue making videos for you guys to actually show you guys how each machine works, so that you could choose the best one for you. If you want to juice only leafy greens, after doing this video, it's quite obvious that the Omega 8006 is juicing them the best. So if you want to juice leafy greens or herbs or other medicinal herbs, the 8006 is what I'd recommend over this guy, especially for sprouts. This guy's going to do much better also. But on the other hand, if you just want to mix some leafy greens in and you want to juice fruits and a wider variety of stuff, then I think that's where the Omega Vert comes in, because it's more versatile in my opinion. On another hand, the Omega 8006 is a little bit more versatile in other ways, because it's not only called the Omega 8006 Juicer, it's called the Omega 8006 Nutrition Center, and it allows you to make things like nut butters, grind your coffee, make sauerkraut, and even make frozen banana sorbet, which is just frozen bananas put through here. Once you taste that, you'll get off your ice cream. And eating more fresh fruits and vegetables is much better than eating all those processed foods. So I'm still got some more leafy greens of juice here. Continuing to plug away at this. What I want to talk about next is actually the warranty. So many juicers have a short warranty, especially if you go down to your local big box or department store. they may have a short 90-day or 1-year warranty. And to me, a juicer is an investment in the most important thing you got. Can anybody think what that is? Do, 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 do. All right. So it's your health. Your health, in my opinion, is the most important thing you got that you own, free and clear right now as you're watching this. Hopefully you're alive still. I don't think there's any zombies out there yet. And, I want to encourage you guys to do the healthy things that are going to keep your health. I mean, I know because when I was in my 20s, I literally almost lost my life. The doctors told me that I wasn't going to walk out of the hospital, or I might not make it out of the hospital. Luckily, I'm here today to share this message of juicing and also with health to you. And what I've learned over all these years of doing this healthy stuff is it's really simple. Health is really simple. Eat the best foods that will nourish your body, which are simply fruits and vegetables. And that's why I like these juicing machines so much, because they allow you to eat more of these things that are some of the best things on earth for you. Like the greens. Like I might be able to eat a salad of a pound of greens every night, which actually most nights I do. But juicing it in this way will turn the 1 pound of greens into, whoa, depending on what juice you use, a few cups of juice. All right, we're down to the last little bit of greens here. Once again, these are the Power Greens by Earthbound Farms. One of the most inexpensive places to get the Earthbound Farm greens are at your local Costco or Sam's Club or other warehouse club store. They often sell them for, I don't know, maybe around $4, depending on where you live, a pound. So that's the last of the leafy greens there, and wow, this is an interesting test here. That's about done juicing, and as you can see, there's significantly much less foam. Let's go ahead and move these two containers out so you can see those head to head. Wow, so the Omega Vert out of 1 pound of greens made 1 cup of green juice. So that's quite admirable. I mean, 1 pound of carrots make about 1 cup of carrot juice. So, but the Omega 8006 made about 1 1/4 cups of juice with much less foam. So you can see that right there. So definitely, it's a clear win for the Omega 8006 and its little brother, the 8004, which is identical to the 8006. It'll cost you less money, but it's in white instead of the chrome-plated plastic color. So next, I'm gonna enjoy these straight up leafy greens for you. Actually, that's not too bad. So yes, juicing the baby greens far better than juicing the larger greens. It's gonna taste sweeter, taste delicious, and if you want to juice straight greens, once again, you want to choose the Omega 8006. Now, if you want to juice a wider variety of stuff, then the Omega Vert might be a better choice. Now, be sure to watch my other videos where I compare these guys head to head, juicing other things, that you can learn more about how these juicers work before you buy them. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video with this 1 pound of greens juice off. Once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.